rightstuff.biz.
There's a Jewish group that is protesting, not just protesting, they have joined the ACLU in a lawsuit against Ohio's heartbeat bill. So this is some of that abortion fallout. But the money quote here is pretty funny. That for me, being Jewish teaches me that not only do I believe in access to abortion, but I believe the rights that exist and the views that people have, they have a right to have.
Well, what about like people that are against it, or what about people that are just pro-white? Like, do I have that right?
No.
The thing is, though, I'm pretty sure that you can't really use your religion as an excuse to child sacrifice, right? That's
if you're Jewish, you can.
Well, the other thing is they're lying because they don't do this in Israel.
Well,
so I would say
if I could just stop you for a second. What he's flexing on is the thing that we always say. He's letting his Jewish privilege show proudly.
Yeah.
It's like when all else fails, if something doesn't go your way, you can fall back on, well, my Jewry says that I need access to this right, and everyone has to stop and listen and be like, geez, the Jews are saying that this is like a denial of Judaism. We better think twice about the error of our ways here.
What's interesting is if you were to say, like, my Christianity is why I'm against this.
Right.
Or like even say I'm against this because I'm like a white nationalist and I don't want like white children to be aborted or something like that, right? It wouldn't be a one-to-one comparison. It's not a religion, but of course, whatever. The point being, some kind of religious claim to I believe in the soul of the unborn because I'm Christian. This would get no respect.
No.
Yet for some reason, when Jews invoke with their quote religion,
you could be widely mocked for your belief in Sky Daddy.
Seriously. And it's also something that has because of the way Jews always frame this issue, other people are literally supposed to nod their heads and take it more seriously if it's Jews are saying this is part of like our belief system, because through their own media control, they've just given their own belief system like unwarranted clout. When I'm like, but you're yes, I actually believe you Jews when you say killing the young of an enemy group is part of your religion, because I've read the book of Exodus. I believe that this is part of your religion. I've read the book of Esther as well. I totally believe that like the mass murder of the children of an enemy tribe is part of your fundamental core belief. You don't have to convince me.
That is an interesting phenomenon where they're the only group that's allowed to just say, well, as a Jewish person, as part of my religion, this thing, you got to respect it. Because you don't get to do that as a Christian.
Well,
you can try it.
You can, but you're not going to get the respect.
You're not going to get anywhere.
Well, it's like Christian. If you're a Christian, anything informed by that is just like your backwards repressive belief. But Judaism, that's not backward. Right. That's just whoa, easy there. If you don't like this, gas chambers are coming.
Point of privilege. Point of privilege, though. You can invoke Christian beliefs if you're talking about my Christianity tells me
to do Jewish
trans
things.
rights.
Yes.
My Christianity the funniest thing is the judeo-christian stuff that a lot of conservatives do feels to me like a rather desperate attempt to access this privilege structure.
Absolutely.
It's just like it's a rather obvious, embarrassing, and failed attempt to kind of ham-fistedly access the structure of privilege that they see other people invoking. And they always are like, hey, Jews, like Rod Dreher and Andrew Morantz, right? Where Rod Dreher is saying, in Budapest, the Jewish quarter is safe because we don't have all these anti-Jewish, meaning like non-white Muslim immigrants coming in. Therefore, the Jews in the Jewish neighborhood can walk the streets safe. Now, Morantz, if he was going to answer, I'd be like, yeah, well, in the fucking Pale of Settlement in the shtetls, the Jews could walk the streets safe as well. The problem is you're trying to keep out George Soros, major Jewish financier, and like Jewish finance capital, Jewish education, and Jewish media from your country. We don't give a fuck about like whether Jews in like, their stupid black robes and crap, their dumbass, outfits that they wear can walk the streets of like some little Jewish quarter safely. We want to control your fucking financial and political and media system. And if you're not letting us do that, the safety of a few thousand Jews in this like diminished Jewish quarter in Budapest, which they used to call it Judapest, not so much anymore. That was actually, I was reading a book. That's what some Nazis used to call it. That is a gag, Judapest. but it's not anymore. And you have to thank for that. But yeah, it's yeah. So it's like that's what Moran just doesn't say anything. He just like kind of snickers at Rod Dreher. It's like implying that like we give a shit about. I mean, they probably on some level do, but it's not more important than the fact of trying to block like Jewish finance and education and all that shit, right? So trying to access the Jew, even like the way they access Jewish ethnocentrism or appeal to it, be like, look, we're doing something to keep this Jewish neighborhood really safe. And that's the other thing. It also shows that how conservatives think, because he doesn't think in terms of like a Jewish power system that Hungary is, is just not fully integrated into. It's not like totally oppositional to it, but it's definitely not fully integrated into it, and it's actually opposing it in some ways. So it's not satisfactory. But the scope of how conservatives look at this is tiny. Like Jews being just like safe to walk the streets in the Jewish quarter. That's not what they're going for anymore, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they would be willing to give that up, or the appearance of giving that up, in favor of the actual global Jewish financial power system fully penetrating this country. Because they'll get that too anyway then, right? Because they'll just have massive state resources applied to that area while also having control, just like what happens in America.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I guess the other thing too, if you're a Christian and you try to do the bit where, as a Christian, what that's actually going to do is provoke a bunch of libtarded and Jewish articles about how your religion is a problem, and how your beliefs are backwards, and fascistic, and all of this. Like, you will actually get critiques directed at you if you are using your Christianity to support something they don't like. But that doesn't seem to ever happen to Jews. I can't recall a single occasion where I've read an article in the mainstream that was ever critical of Judaism on the grounds that it's repressive or backwards.
No. And all this stuff, the funniest thing is that the repressive and backwards elements of Christianity are like the parts most directly inherited from Judaism.
It's the most Jewish parts.
Right, like the New Testament doesn't really have any of that mean stuff in it, right?
How long have atheists talked about like the Old Testament as being like this barbaric, awful shit?
Dude, you want to shut up an
Jewish,
atheist? You seriously? You want to shut an atheist down? Just tell them like, yeah, I hate all that Jewish stuff. I've done it and gotten kicked out of atheist groups. Remember when that happened?
Yeah.
We started just pressing that this was on the Jewish issues and start talking.
That's really funny, right? It's like, well, no. See, we can criticize this Jewish religion if white people are the ones that are doing it. We can't actually go if the original race, the Jews, are doing it. We can't say anything about it.
Dude, can you imagine? Can you imagine if there was some crazy one of these lunatic Christians we think were actually Jews, sex started doing like the mitzvah, like the baby dick sucking. If they started doing that. Like not just the chopping, people do the chopping, but if they started doing the sucking, the biting and sucking, like can you imagine? Like what kind of
federal investigation?
Well, I don't even know, because I think it would actually be, now I don't recommend anybody do it, but it would be an interesting thing to observe if there was a Christian sect that tried to start doing this, because a lot of people don't know about this. So I think awareness of it has increased through memes and stuff like that, and it's a thing Jews never want to talk about because they know how disgusting it is and how much people are just like immediately put off by it, and particularly you hear about it and you don't quite believe it, but then you can easily access pictures of it, and then it's like, yeah, that's what they don't. That rabbi is biting that baby's dick. That's what is happening. Yes,
you can find some discussion about how this is medically bad.
Oh yeah, you can, but it's purely it's very contained, and it's very contained within
very isolated
Jewish, like what they consider to be very controlled conversations between Jews. Like the New York City Health Department, which is run by Jews, has gone back and forth with these communities on this in an effort to also for them to stop generating stories by having 3-month-old babies die of herpes.
Right.
Because that's another problem. When that happens and that gets out, it happens. It happens several times a year. When that happens and that gets out, then it's like it looks bad, and so they have to kind of do what they can. And so they've tried to do this, but only New York City had the ability to do anything because they're that's run by Jews, so they can actually have some dialogue with these communities that do this. But I don't even know what would happen because it would be so strange. Because the thing was, if you were to tell like libtards about it, though, what you would get would be them launching into crazy invective against the people doing this. It might be a fun experiment just to tell them that Christians do this. But then they would probably ask for proof, and since Christians don't do it, even the worst sects of Christianity don't do this. As far as I know, there might actually be some crazy "I think I'm Jewish" sect of Christianity that does this. I don't know. I haven't seen it. As far as I know, it doesn't exist. I would challenge those I would challenge though. What's his face? What's that guy's name that Meraki was talking about? Huckster, the super pro-Jewish pastor that he was talking about on the Merchant Minute last week, who I looked into a little bit. That guy is, wow. That guy is so fucking bad.
I forgot his name.
Oh, it's like, I think it was like Huch, Pastor Huck. Let me just look that up and see what I get. Yeah, I think it's something like that. And he was so bad. I would like just fucking troll and be like, "Yo, do you do them?" Larry Huck or Hutch. Larry Hutch, Huch. It's a weird way of spelling it. It's Huck or Hutch, I guess.
So on the fly here, I typed in Judaism is backwards. Didn't get anything. Typed in Christianity is backwards, and I found an article. It was on Tikkun.org, Jewish website, talking about backward Christian soldiers, and it's basically somebody complaining about the evil racism and backwardness of evangelicals.
Right. Well, where are they getting that from?
Yeah, and it's literally on a Jewish website.
Yeah. Yeah. But the problem is, like, what they would say then, if you actually confront.
Were they just like racist against like blacks or Mexicans or something? They love, because we know they love Jews. Those people.
Oh yeah, they love Jews. But what if you were to confront a Jew? But that doesn't ever. That's unrequited. I've never seen such unrequited love affair in my life.
With evangelicals.
But if you were to confront a Jew that wrote this, you're accusing these evangelicals of being backwards. But the place that they're getting the inspiration for their backwardness from is your Jewish scriptures. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah.
They're misinterpreting it.
Right.
Really, because it seems to me that the killing the infant sons of all of your enemy tribe, like, that's pretty clear cut. Like, I'm not, like, what are they getting wrong specifically?
I'm not really confused by that sort of. I think I grasp.
Go in depth. I'd be like, can you elaborate? What specific?
I grasp
what's being misinterpreted here?
The full scope of what the kind of message that sends and everything, and also like what it actually does to that tribe. Like, there's layers of the effects on your enemies that has, and that you're trying to put out there. Like, this is what you do. Is that backward?
Right. But I would just be like, if you're saying that they're misinterpreting these passages and applying them wrong, well, can you elaborate on that? Can you be very, very, very specific on how? And what does it mean to you? What, because Passover to me, I know about how the Jews celebrate that, and it seems to me that they're just dancing on the graves of their enemies. I mean, that's what it looks like to me.
So they're exactly what they're doing.
Right. Like, maybe I'm misinterpreting. But it seems like you're just feasting over the dead bodies of the children of your enemies. That's just what it seems to me.
Why are there always dancing Israelis every time something bad happens?
Yeah,
there's more dancing Israelis.
Dancing Israelis is a very old meme. It's not even like it predates 9/11 by a lot.
When I look at their writings, a lot of times it seems that they have an enemy tribe. Enemy tribe has religion. They have a god they worship, and then Jews declare that god to be literally Satan.
Just like illegitimate. Like, you're just not allowed to. Sorry. Yeah.
They don't seem to get along very well with their neighbors. They have a very totalizing worldview.
Yes. It's very odd for a group as small as them to demand as much control as they do. Yeah.
Like a lot of this history and other ethnic groups and cultures, they would just kind of accept the idea that, okay, well, we have our gods and they have their gods, and all of these things can exist at the same time. Not Jews.
Or even if you don't like it, it's too expensive. It's too cold. You can't do anything about it. Like, if Christians and Muslims, it's like, all right, well, I guess maybe there's a conflict there, and maybe on the peripheries where these two places meet, there's going to be some problems. But generally speaking, like on a world level, like, neither one can beat the other, so you just have to live with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as long as people stay in their zones, it doesn't even really fucking matter. But yeah,
What can you do?
Because the kind of person who really actually wants to like totally wipe out or conquer like another religion for their own faith is just not actually all that common.